Before we dive in, let me ask you this. Have you ever run from a destiny so cruel it felt like the only way to survive was to disappear? What if in your escape, you stumbled into a fate even darker? Or perhaps, exactly the one written in the stars? Tonight I'm going to tell you the story of a runaway bride, a cursed rogue, and the moon-marked bond that was never meant to be, and yet changed everything. If stories like this keep your heart racing, make sure to subscribe, because here, legends are born in every shadow, and love always leaves a mark. Now, lean in and listen closely, because this story begins in the forest, beneath a sky split by thunder, and a scream swallowed by the wind. The blade trembled in her hand as she realized the truth that would shatter everything she believed. She was never meant to be a bride. She was meant to be a sacrifice. Serafina ran through the ancient woods in a torn white gown, the fabric clinging to her legs like vines of fate. Each breath was a sob, each footfall a plea. Behind her, howls carved the air like knives. The Coldfang pack would not let her go easily, not after the binding ritual was broken. The trees stood like silent sentinels, their bark slick with rain and secrets. Lightning illuminated a figure up ahead, tall, cloaked in black, eyes glowing like coals in the night. The rogue did not move as she stumbled into view, soaked and shaking. He simply said, "You shouldn't be here, Luna." His voice was rough, more growl than speech, and it scraped something deep inside her. They stared at each other in the dark, two broken souls hiding truths neither was ready to name. She begged for shelter. He offered none, not until he saw the mark glowing faintly on her collarbone, a half-moon etched in shimmering silver. His eyes narrowed. "You carry a dead power," he muttered. "Or something worse." Still, he stepped aside. Inside the rogue's hidden cabin, half buried in stone and root, the air reeked of burnt herbs and cold metal. She collapsed on the floor, and as sleep took her, a memory whispered from long ago. 3 years ago, when the screams first echoed through her childhood home, her mother had said, "Never trust an alpha, especially the one who chooses you." She woke in silence. The storm had passed, but something inside her hadn't. The room smelled of smoke, moss, and wet leather. Outside, crows cackled in the ash trees. Thorn sat near the hearth, sharpening a blade too old to belong to this century. "You're still here," he said without turning. "You didn't kill me," she replied. "Yet." The mark burned, not just from magic, but memory. She remembered the moment it appeared, not during a ritual, but after a dream of fire and chains. Thorn approached her, his gaze unreadable. "That mark, it's not for a bride, it's for a weapon," he said. And then, softer, "I've seen it before. Once." Flashback. Thorn, a younger rogue, watching his alpha fall to a girl with the same moon mark. Her eyes had glowed like lightning. She vanished after the battle. No one knew her name. Now, he feared Serafina would become the same, or worse. Their conversation bled into challenge. "You think I asked for this?" She spat. "You think I want to be hunted?" Thorn stepped closer, his heat tangible. "Want has nothing to do with it. The mark wants." He touched the edge of it, and flinched. His fingers sizzled. The magic recognized him. The next night, the moon bled red. Not a metaphor. A literal blood moon, rare and sacred. In the forest, symbols carved into trees began to glow, ancient wards reacting to Serafina's presence. Thorn cursed under his breath. "They'll come. All of them." This kind of magic doesn't go unnoticed. He took her to the ruins of a temple, a place where Lunas once ruled in council. Overgrown and forgotten, the stones still hummed. Serafina knelt before a cracked altar, her fingers tracing symbols that felt familiar. She wasn't just carrying the mark, it was waking memories that weren't hers. She saw wolves made of light, howling before a silver throne, and a voice whispering, "You were born to break the chains." Back at the cabin, warlocks had left signs. Cade was near. Thorn prepared traps, weapons, his body tense as a bowstring. If he gets you under the blood moon, he can bind you, heart and soul. You'll never escape again. Serafina's hands shook. "And if I fight?" Thorn looked at her, truly looked. "Then we both burn." His scream shattered the silence. She found him outside, mid-shift, body half wolf, half man, muscles seizing under skin. The transformation was broken. a violent, agonizing process. Serafina tried to help, touching his shoulder. Her touch soothed him, for a heartbeat. Then his eyes flashed gold, and he nearly attacked. He stopped just before his claws touched her throat. Later, inside, he revealed the truth. I was cursed by a witch I trusted. I killed her mate, didn't know what he was. She said I'd never shift fully again, unless I found someone to choose me, not as a monster, but as a man. He laughed, bitter. You think that's romantic? It's a cage. Serafina listened, and then softly, I don't see a monster. I see someone still fighting. He looked away. Then you're not seeing all of me. They sat in silence, the hearth casting shadows across the room. Outside, wolves howled again, distant but closer now. Her fingers brushed the mark. Maybe we're both cursed, she whispered. Or maybe we're keys. He didn't answer, but that night, neither of them slept alone. At dawn, the cabin was ash. Smoke curled toward the sky as warlocks circled the ruins. Thorn and Serafina watched from a ridge, hidden by illusion. His friend, Rin, had been taken. A message was left. Come alone, rogue, or the girl dies screaming. Serafina wanted to run, wanted to hide, but she stood taller than ever before. He's not doing this for me. He's doing it to break you. Thorn's jaw clenched. Then let him try. They prepared for war, gathering relics from the temple, whispering ancient words. The forest responded. Vines thickened, stones glowed, and wind howled like prophecy. Flashback. Serafina as a child, watching her mother be dragged away by Alpha Cade. Her mother whispered something as the door closed. The forest remembers, and so will you. Now that memory returned, not as pain, but power. They launched an ambush at twilight. In the ruined altar grounds, shadows twisted. Serafina fought with more than fists, with magic now pulsing in her veins. Thorn moved like a storm, fury and fire. Together they broke the Coldfang elite. But Cade wasn't there, only a message carved into flesh. She was never yours. The ruins whispered her name. In the quiet after the battle, Serafina wandered among the altar stones, fingers brushing runes older than language. One stone pulsed beneath her touch, not glowing, beating, like a heart buried in the earth. When she pressed harder, visions bled through her mind. A woman in white, barefoot and crowned with starlight. Her mother, not a victim, but a priestess, a rebel, the last of the moon-blooded. Serafina collapsed, the vision pulling her downward, inward. You carry more than pain, child. You carry memory. The words echoed, 1,000 voices behind them. Thorn pulled her out of the trance just before her pulse stopped. What did you see? He asked, voice like flint striking steel. She opened her eyes, glowing silver now. The truth, she whispered. My mother died fighting him, and I was the weapon she left behind. They returned to the cabin ruins to recover what they could. Among the debris, Thorn found an old pendant, his own mother's, long thought lost. He held it as if it might speak to him. She died here too, he said quietly. Different war, same Alpha. Serafina looked at him, a tear tracing her dirt-streaked cheek. We've both lost everything to him. Thorn's answer was a single nod, not of agreement, but of promise. As they prepared to move again, a raven landed nearby. Its eyes glowed with unnatural light, and in its beak, a shard of obsidian, a witch's calling stone. Rin had left a message. Come to the hollow. Bring the girl, or her past dies with me. The hollow was no place for the living. A chasm in the forest where the ground split like a wounded mouth, the hollow was where rogue witches went to forget, or to be forgotten. As Thorn and Serafina descended, mist thickened, clinging like cobwebs. The air stank of rot and burned sage. Every step echoed with whispers. Names not theirs, wounds not theirs. This place remembers too much, Serafina murmured. Thorn grunted. That's what makes it dangerous. They found Rin chained to a stone circle, his eyes half mad from pain. Blood runes marked his skin. You came, he rasped. You shouldn't have. Behind him stood an ancient seer, neither dead nor alive, her body more bark than flesh. She offered the elixir of unbinding. Drink, she said, voice like falling leaves, and remember who you were before the world stole your name. Serafina drank. and the memories came like floodwater, a prophecy, spoken in a language that once only priestesses knew. When blood betrays blood, and the rogue howls under moonlight, the moon-marked shall sever the oath of binding, and the chains will fall. She saw herself, not as a child, but as a soul reborn. Her life was not her first. When she awoke, Thorn held her. She clung to him like breath. "I've lived this before," she whispered, "and every time, I die before I finish it." Thorn didn't speak, but he offered her his blade, the one that once killed his alpha. "Then this time," he said, "we end it together." The fire crackled low. Her fingers traced the blade he'd given her. She wanted to believe in victory. But war wasn't just out there. It lived inside them too. That night, Thorn pulled away. He packed his things quietly, his shoulders coiled in tension. "I'm taking you north, past the rift. You'll be safe there." Seraphina stared, fury rising. "You think I'm running again? You've done your part," he said. "Let me do mine." "You mean die for me?" Her voice cracked. "That's what you want. To end it before it begins." Flashback. Thorn as a boy, watching a girl with fire in her hands burn in front of him. He had frozen, done nothing. That guilt still haunted him. He looked at Seraphina now, and saw the same fire in her eyes. He couldn't lose her too. "I can survive being hated," he said. "I can't survive losing you." The argument splintered something sacred. She stormed into the woods. He didn't follow. But when dawn came, she hadn't returned, and across the valley, Coldfang banners rose. Cade had found them. The battlefield was set beneath a broken moon. Seraphina stood in chains once more, but her eyes burned brighter than before. Cade had captured her at the edge of the hollow, whispering sweet poison. "All this power, and still, you ran to a mongrel. You were always mine." She didn't speak. She watched him, and she smiled, because Thorn was already there, in the shadows, with rogues, witches, and the broken, bitter remnants of old packs who remembered the moon's true voice. Rin, free now, joined him, scarred but alive. "Let's end the fairy tale," he muttered, "and write a war song." The ambush erupted in fire and fang. Wolves howled. Blades clashed. Cade fought like a god, cruel, cold, calculated. He called on forbidden magic, binding wolves mid-shift, shattering bones with words. But Seraphina broke free. The mark on her skin ignited like wildfire, and she turned his spells back on him. Still, it wasn't enough. Cade laughed. "You don't even know what you are," he snarled. "You're not the moon. You're its shadow." The moon reached its zenith, full, crimson, demanding. Cade stood before them, the battlefield littered with smoke and bone. His hand glowed with stolen light. "You think you can unbind fate?" he hissed. "You think love is stronger than blood?" Seraphina stepped forward, hair wild, eyes molten silver. "No," she said. "But truth is." She raised her hands, and the sky cracked. A ritual began, not of binding, of unbinding. She and Thorn, palm to palm, recited ancient verses forgotten by all but the stars. The mark split, light and shadow. Her power flowed into him, and his into her. The rogue and the Luna, not mates, not slaves to fate, but equals. Cade screamed as the power rejected him. The spirits he'd bound turned on him. Shadows dragged him to the earth, devouring his soul. Silence followed. Then wind, then light. Thorn collapsed. Seraphina held him, tears streaking her face. "Don't you dare," she whispered. "Don't you dare leave me now." But the ritual had cost him everything. The ground drank the silence. Thorn's body lay still in Seraphina's arms. His skin was pale, almost translucent under the crimson moonlight. She rocked him like a mother with a dying prayer, whispering his name over and over, as if it were a spell that could pull him back. "You gave me your life," she said. "Now, I give you mine." Around them, the battlefield lay frozen, not in peace, but in anticipation. The magic hadn't faded. It had only gone quiet, waiting. And when Seraphina pressed her forehead to his, the mark on her skin bled light into his. The bond had never been about dominance. It had always been about choice. As the unbinding ritual finished its last echo, a surge of lunar power erupted. Not bright, but deep. rooted, old, the kind that could only come from the moon priestess herself. Spirits formed in the mist, lunas of old, wolves of legend. They howled in a chorus of mourning and rebirth, and the curse on Thorn's soul cracked. He gasped, eyes wild, gold and human at once. His first breath was a sob. Her name was the first word on his lips. Dawn broke like a breath held too long. The battlefield steamed in golden light, the blood moon setting behind the trees. Survivors gathered in silence. Cold Fang wolves stood dazed, no longer bound by Cade's tyranny, free but leaderless. The rogues, hesitant, watched Seraphina with equal fear and reverence. And there, at the heart of it all, was the throne stone, cracked, blackened, and empty. Rin approached, limping. "They'll need someone," he said. "Someone who doesn't want it." Seraphina looked around, at the wounded, the widowed, the wild. She didn't want it either, but power rarely waits for permission. Thorn stepped forward. "You were born to lead them." She shook her head. "No, I was born to break them free. Leading is something I'll have to choose." Flashback. Her mother, standing defiant in front of Cade years ago. Leadership is not about ruling. It's about remembering what they forgot. Seraphina turned to the packs. "No more alphas. No more binding. From now on, we build something older than power. Something sacred." The wolves bowed. Not in submission. In respect. They met beneath a sky of pale stars. Wolves, witches, and all the outcasts who survived. A stone circle, newly consecrated, marked the beginning of a new age, not ruled by dominance, but by memory, by story. They called it the Circle of the Moon-Blooded. Seraphina sat among them, not above. At her side, Thorn, fully healed now, his eyes calm, the beast within no longer snarling. Neros's staff, left behind by the blind old mentor who sacrificed himself, was placed in the center of the circle. A symbol of wisdom passed forward. "I'm not here to give orders," Seraphina said to them all. "I'm here to ask questions. Hard ones." A murmur passed. This was not how wolves ruled. And yet, they listened. Each representative stood and spoke. Of pain, of rebuilding, of what the Moon Priestess legacy might become. And when Seraphina called for unity, they answered. Not with howls, but with silence. The kind that comes from peace, not fear. They returned to the place where it all began, the ruined Luna Temple in the woods. There, beneath vines and memory, Seraphina and Thorn stood alone. No crowd, no throne, just moonlight, wind, and the distant hum of wolves watching. He took her hand. "You don't owe me anything," he said. "I know," she replied. "That's why I choose this." They knelt at the altar, their palms pressed together. No power surged. No magic crackled. Only breath, heartbeat, and the knowledge that what they had built came not from prophecy, but from pain endured and love earned. And when she kissed him, it was not the kiss of fated mates. It was the kiss of two broken people who had stitched themselves back together, not as halves, but as whole beings. Flashback. Her mother and Thorn's mother, standing in a vision, smiling silently before fading into mist. The moonlight wrapped around them like silk. And this time, the mark on Seraphina's skin faded gently, not erased, but fulfilled. Years passed like water over stone. A child ran through the clearing where the cabin once stood, chasing fireflies with laughter in her lungs. Her hair was dark like her father's, her eyes bright like her mother's, and on her wrist, a faint shimmer of silver. Seraphina sat nearby, carving a symbol into wood, not the moon mark, but a new one, a spiral of choice. Thorn joined her, a little grayer now, his body strong, his smile soft. "She's fast," he said. "She's free," Seraphina replied. "We both are." They spoke little. They didn't need to. Their silence was full of life, and when the child asked one night, "Mama, is it true you were going to marry a monster?" Seraphina smiled. "Yes," she said, "but I met one who'd already become human." As the camera pulls back, we see the forest, no longer haunted, just alive, and the moon, full and silver, watching not as a judge, but as a witness. The story ends not with a war, but with a choice, and a future born of love. Some stories end with crowns, others with fire, but the ones that endure end with choice. She was the rogue's salvation. He was the bride's rebellion. Together they broke fate and built something older than prophecy. If you felt this story echo inside you, like a heartbeat beneath the skin, subscribe. Because here we tell the stories you weren't supposed to survive.